Any last words that you'd like to tell people about death, like anything, any misunderstood concepts about death that can bring immense amount of peace, profound peace to people?
I would say that death is not the final destination. Death is a very merciful intervention to a life that has reached its max potential and cannot run anymore. So it's a welcome intervention where a soul can rebirth itself. I think the more people read about death, the more discussions there are around death, the better it will be understood and accepted as a concept. Death is actually peaceful. It is life that is full of struggles. Yet we are all running after life and not after death. Because we feel that the chapter will end, but endings are new beginnings.
Maybe, we've learned our karmic lesson for this life and we're just leveling up.
Done with it.
Yeah.
Done with it. Show khatam ho gaya.
Yeah.
Ab niklo hall se.
That's so true. But I think जो haunting चीज लगती है ना, haunting नहीं बोलूंगी, actually it's more daunting, not haunting, that क्योंकि आपकी body को pain होता है ना, वो suffering आपकी body को लगती है. So I think that attention to that suffering is so intense that we forget that we are beyond this. Right?
Which is why it is important to train ourselves for death.
How does one do that?
There are workshops. I run a workshop on training people for death. And nobody wants to attend it because they all want to presume that they're not going to die.
Immortal beings.
Immortal beings, yeah. And you know what? It's one of the most beautiful gifts you can give to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be so much in acceptance of it and so much in peace with it. And I think when we understand death and we are sort of ready for it, that is the time that we live the most beautiful lives. Because every moment then is poignant.
Any such one encounter with any of the souls that you had where you had your aha moment?
Lots. It is, okay, so I'll tell you about a soul that I met when I was teaching one of my mediumship classes. And I'll tell you two. So the first soul that I met was a soul of a mother who had committed suicide because she had two special needs children and she was not able to understand what to do. She had a non-supportive husband, etc., etc. And she got trapped because she felt very guilty because she committed suicide. And she said, how come, I shouldn't have done that and all of that. Then I told her, I can liberate you, I can help you. So she says, no, I want to learn my lesson. And what she told me was that both her children had given her another opportunity while she was pregnant to tell her that things are going to get more difficult after having a child. And that she had gone to the dark forces to get a child. Okay? So it was granted, but they were born with a medical file. And this was just not once, because the first one was a girl and then in the quest of a boy. And she said that, every time we play with nature, it can be so bad. She says, I'm trapped and I have to take out some certain time here before I can move to light. And when I heard that, it just hit me so much that the whole societal pressure of not having children can lead you to go to tantrics and dark practices to have one anyhow. And she says, not only did I bring suffering to myself, I also brought two souls that are suffering. And they had huge medical files, hole in the heart, like really medical files, and couldn't have survived beyond a certain point, which is what she knew. So first she got them, and then she was not able to support them towards their death. She exited much before. So it is a huge realization for me that it's not that society puts pressure on us. It is that how much pressure we put on ourselves. And we are ready to go to any extent. And I know of families that have gone to the dark forces that have generated, multiple ancestral curses, and very good souls now coming as their children, but not able to break through the curses. So when I met that soul, I was very, very, very touched and very. The second soul that I know of, I've not encountered directly, was a soul who was 76 years old and an American who went into Tantra, got a very good guru, went into Tantra and of one of the Mahavidyas. Unfortunately, became so overzealous in his quest to get power through the Tantra that ended up practicing Tantra in a dark way. Within, I think, 3 months of turning into dark Tantra, he committed suicide. And when I asked him that, why did you commit suicide? He said, I had so many entities attached to me by then that instead of me using them, they used me. And had I gone back to the US, had I left this place, I would have carried them with me everywhere, and they could have just attacked someone or the other. So where he was practicing had a spiritual protection ghera. So if you would have left that place, that ashram, they would be free. So sometimes we don't understand the extent of the damage we can cause with knowledge that is half-baked, things that are not completely. And now those entities sort of possess him. He came through the Uja board of one of my now students who didn't know not to do Uja board then. That's how I encountered him.
So it's also our readiness, that how ready we are to even gain that knowledge, right?
But knowledge is one thing. What about power? This andha power that people want. To do what? Levitate. To do what? Kill somebody. Why? Use it like a knowledge. The 10 Mahavidyas are the Vidyas. You go wrong with them, it's like playing with fire. You're just gone.
I always, in fact, I also mentioned this on one of the podcasts that, when it comes to 10 Mahavidyas, they are said that they are the most fierce form because they're also overly protective and caring, right? And we need to worship them in a certain way and all. And I raised this question then, I was like, because I feel, your relationship with God is very private. I would want to worship her and look at her and maybe address her the way I want because I feel, that is my connect with her. So why do I need to kind of fall in this, this is how it needs to happen. This is the system, you can't go wrong with it. And the guest that we had, she said something very beautiful. She said, this is people's way of looking at it. Of course it is private. Of course you can worship her the way you want, right? As long as there is no wrong intent attached, right? As long as there is a good intention and you're doing it for yourself without harming anyone, you can worship her the way you want. What is your take on that? Like, is it mandatory that all the 10 Mahavidyas need to be practiced and, worshipped in how people have, how pandits, how, the gatekeepers of the knowledge have always prescribed?
Oh, this is a difficult question because the 10 Mahavidyas are literally like wires that have the most electrifying current and without any protection. So you don't have that plastic coating on them. They are literally live wires. I would like to say that think of it very simply. Our bodies, our minds don't have that kind of power. You are a 10-watt bulb holder and you're trying to put a 100-watt bulb. You're going to explode.
That's why you need a guru that can
no, you may not need a guru. You can start with Mahavishnu as your guru, and there's a whole workshop that we do in 10 Mahavidyas. But there is a sequence. There is a way. There is a path. You may not say that I'm going to do all the hand mudras and I'm going to pray for 3.5 hours. Fine. But there is a path. There is a way to do it. There is a way you will know you can proceed to the second. It's not a random play zone that you can pick up any toy and say, okay, I like it because I'm attached to it.
Sure.
Because she's the incarnation of mother. She's not going to do anything to me. No. It's not like that.
Okay. That's
it's
good.
not like that.
Good.
It has to be. It's the Mahavidyas. Mahavidyas. And they are all forms of Ma Kali. And Ma Kali is all about, I wouldn't say destruction, but transformation. We are not ready to transform our food only in today's day and age. If I tell people from tomorrow you have to be on a water fast, you're not going to be able to take it.
Even the side of bed.
Yeah.
We can't even change
So
that.
then what are we talking of Ma Kali's powers of transformation? We can't fathom it. We won't like it. Because if you ask her something, she'll say, I'll give it to you, but she'll give it to you in a way that is simply not fathomable. And then you'll sit there crying. Then don't go to her. All gods are powerful. Go to someone else. The 10 Mahavidyas are only for people who have a certain kind of horoscope. They have a certain kind of process of life. They have a certain kind of purpose of life. It's not good or bad. It's not high and low. It's just different, like science and arts.
I didn't know that, one needs to also see the horoscopes before a kind of...
No, you don't see the horoscopes before getting into the 10 Mahavidyas. But when you see the sadhakas of 10 Mahavidyas and you know that they have attained some sort of a siddhi and you see their horoscopes, the planets will be placed similarly.
Okay. Got it.
So it has our soul chart, our soul plan has an impact on the Ishta Devtas that we have and the gods that will favor us naturally because we are on this path.
Anything that, any particular information you would want people to know?
I would like to ask people that what is your expectation of death? And how prepared are we to die?
I don't think anyone would have that.
I would love to see in comments what that means and how have they interpreted this question. I would love to read their comments on how willing, not willing, but how prepared are they for death. Death being the ultimate reality of this life. How prepared are you all for death? How prepared are you for your loved ones moving on into a much more beautiful experience, for example? So as a society, how ready are we? And if anyone has any more questions, I think you've covered so many in detail. It was a lovely intervention for me. But in case you have any more questions regarding death, you can let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to answer.
Sounds good. And with that, it's a wrap. And